Larry. Nice to be here with you.
Very nice.
We have our two programs into like cousins or aunts and uncles or something like that. Well, it's interesting how things develop over time. It felt like a dry, parched period. And needing some rain and some moisture. So it became the Profound Treasury Retreat, started as a single one-off idea to get together, practice and study, and re-energize ourselves. So it happened to be conveniently coinciding with the publication of the 3 Profound Treasury volumes, and which people wanted to study them and wanted to do something somewhat in a form or within the context similar to Vajradhatu seminaries, practicing and studying together for a period of time. So we came up with one program, which was in the main, and basically that was our plan, to do this one program. And a number of people came. We don't know how or why, because there was no advertising, no announcement, no nothing. And we just got together and other people showed up somehow. And it was, from the very beginning, there were a core of very experienced longtime students and relatively new students who still had a longing to immerse themselves in the Trungpa Rinpoche's world. However you interpret that, through study, through community, through forms, through whatever forms. But at the end of the program, everyone said, well, when's the next one? And we had no organization, no nothing. So that led to the second one. And then they became kind of organically developed and attracted different and new people each year, and some people who go every year, et cetera, like that. And somewhere along those lines, someone said, well, let's do something in Colorado, but we really long to be at Drala Mountain with the stupa, with the history, so much blessings and power. So we were really excited when we moved for the number 4, we moved to Drala Mountain, and we've continued ever since, so 18 altogether so far.
Yeah. Wonderful. So our program is really inspired by yours, and as we both are really inspired by the Vajradhatu seminary, that kind of has been the main kind of focus on trying to somehow create something similar. We tried to experiment with, is it in any way conceivable that we could do a program for 3 months like we did years ago with the Vajradhatu seminary? And pretty much everyone said this is just not possible, and that's understandable. Even at the time, it was difficult for a lot of people. So we backed down to 1 month, and we also got a lot of feedback that too would be pretty difficult, but maybe doable. And as it turns out, it seems to have been workable for enough people that it works. So our retreat, just like yours, is totally focused on the talks that Trungpa Rinpoche gave at the Vajradhatu seminary, which you have amazingly put together into this 3-volume edited work. And this is, really a monumental achievement, and we're very grateful to all that you've done. And as we know, Trungpa Rinpoche himself envisioned this and wanted it, and now we have it. So that is our kind of Bible of sorts of what we use in terms of the curriculum. And the format that we've used, because we have a month, we're able to kind of mimic in a reduced way the 3-month program with the various forms that Trungpa Rinpoche created during the seminary program. We call it Entering the Vajra World. So this is a program that is oriented towards people becoming Vajrayana practitioners, and that means we require that people have some kind of study and practice background before our program, significant enough such that this is not for new people at all. Some of the participants have come from the Profound Treasury retreat, which is great. That, you know, that's an obvious sort of on-ramp to doing more. Many of them come from anywhere. We interview each person individually. They fill out a kind of questionnaire that gives us some background of their practice and study. And then we have a personal interview, one-on-one, to determine whether we each feel this is the right program for them. But I would say the majority of applicants wind up coming. And then we have a program that has been 13 weeks prior to the summer month intensive, where we go through some amount of the foundational vehicle, Hinayana and Mahayana teachings, primarily drawing from the Profound Treasury. And each of the teachers, all of the faculty, participate in giving talks during this 13-week program of study. And it's a once a week online. People are wherever they live. And they culminate at 2 points in refuge vows being offered for those who have not become Buddhist, you know, officially, and eventually Bodhisattva vows. Because people are going to become Vajrayana practitioners, we kind of require that they already be Buddhists and Bodhisattva aspirants. So that happens during the 13-week program. And it's also a community building process, I think, that people start to get to know each other, the faculty and the students mix a little. We have breakout rooms where the faculty usually participate in small group discussions. So it is a little bit of a community building, not nearly as much as the in-person. Yeah. And then I guess it's worth mentioning that both of our programs are in-person only. You don't have any kind of hybrid thing.
No,
yeah.
But we do have, after the programs, we have opportunities for people to continue on an ongoing way online in study groups, providing a place for people to be in community. And so we have people who come, students of various teachers, they just come because of the Sangha, the strength of sort of a Sangha that formed around these teachings. Like, for instance, people have gone from Profound Treasury to Triyanas and vice versa, and there's a circulation. You see people, they're connecting in a broader sense. The other thing is that, and it's been my kind of obsession for a long time now, of realizing that how precious these kind of programs are and how important it is that they manifest, they made available to future generations. So I've focused almost entirely over the last quite a few years on trying to figure out how to pass along not just the teaching roles, but the whole thing, you know, what it takes to put programs like this together. So there's a lot of emphasis on training up newer, younger leaders. And I'm really pleased with how that is going from in the leadership of the Profound Treasuries, for instance. Many of the people like on the board and also certainly doing the elective classes and now doing the main classes are newer people getting experience in a lot of ways to get experience and being supported. And we have this system of working with pairs of a more experienced person and a newer person working closely together, kind of an apprenticeship type of model, and then trying to provide ways for people to get experience, either teaching at the retreat or in other settings. So we're really working on that, trying to send some of the newer teachers on the road, so to speak, and trying to raise money for that. On a practical level, that one strong thing about our program has been that we raise money for scholarship support. When we has and we decided on some of our values and our goals for the retreat. One is, the important one is not to become elitist, only available to those who have means and connections and stuff. And so we found that if we want to raise up newer, younger teachers, we have to provide scholarships. Just bottom line. So we've been really lucky to have generous supporters to help raise money, and almost all that money goes to this project of making it possible for people to come who couldn't not afford it. You know, it's already hard enough, as Larry was saying, to take the time in the way the world works.
Yeah.
To have the time and the money, that's even harder.
Yep.
The time and money is hard. And then we try to inspire people to do with it what they want. You know, some people just want to be Mahaya, they want to be activists. They want to join their practice with their other passions, arts or activism or this or that. We said, go for it. And if you want to enter and do Vajrayana serious practice, go for it. If you just want to come to these programs and get refreshed once a year, connect, you know, with a sense of deepening your shamatha vipassana, mindfulness, go for it. You know, so there's it's kind of a diversity, I suppose, of goals. But I think the heart connections and the core teachings, you know, obviously there's the same threads, you know.
Yeah. And similarly, we too have had the same experience of needing to raise money to help people to be able to attend the program. You know, the faculty have been somewhat self-selected, you know, friends of ours that have the ability to come to Drala Mountain Center without travel subsidies and to not expect to be paid. So, you know, many of us are of the older generation, some of us retired, but we're able to come and not expect to be paid or reimbursed. And we realize this is not a sustainable model, probably, but while we can do it, we'll do it, because at least it helped to jumpstart things. And then we have had the wonderful fortune of the Pema Chodron Foundation, who has provided scholarship funds, which is primarily used for helping participants to be able to afford the program. Mm-hmm. And Drala Mountain Center has also been incredibly generous and providing this program with no tuition, so there is no cost technically for the program. The only payment is for housing, food and housing, and they have provided that at a 50% discount. And many of them could not afford this without that. They're also taking out their time for a month and not earning their normal livelihood, of course. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so it's a similar kind of...
Yeah, we've benefited in the same way from the discount, generous discount. That's why we were able to move to Drala Mountain, but also other donors as well.
Yeah, and like you, we just this year started a program of mentoring people, and having talked with you and others who participated in that, seemed like a great model, so we're adopting that. And we've just started this last month. We have, I think, 15 people, all of whom have attended one or both of the programs. And all of the faculty who have participated are willing to serve as mentors. And so we've just paired each other up and begun that process just a few weeks ago. And our plan is to, very similar to yours, have the mentor and younger student meet once a week or maybe a little less. And then once a month, we all get together and somebody gives a kind of trial talk or whatever, and we'll see how that goes. We haven't done that yet. So we're really at the beginning stage of this. But just like you, I mean, we have to somehow pass this on to new, younger people.
Yeah, so, and it's happening. I think there's many talented and dedicated younger people who are more than ready to take on these kind of roles.
I mean, what Trungpa Rinpoche did in coming to the West, learning English, you know, the language of, you know, many people in North America and Europe, is a remarkable achievement on his part. And his ability to bring his, you know, 2,500-year tradition to a modern world in a modern language, I think is unique. And the way he presented it continues to be unusual in its, in every way. I mean, it's a tradition, of course. He did not invent this tradition, but his way of teaching it is unusual and very communicative, and I think especially experiential. And a lot of people connect with it, obviously. His books have sold very, very well from the beginning. So there is a huge network of people inspired by him for that reason.
I also think obviously I think he was the most revolutionary, inventive, innovative teacher of any of the teachers I've ever met. And the models he created, they stand out in many ways, but he did not simply create another Lama, Sangha thing, my territory, I'm the Lama, and this is my thing, it was much broader, much more interconnected. The people he brought in the early days of his teaching, he brought in people from all the great traditions of Buddhism and beyond, and of the Zen teachers and the Theravadan teachers and the Christian mystics and all the insight meditation people, the Pure Land people, the varieties. He brought it all together, with and introduced us, put what he was doing in the context, not just of religiosity, but of kind of opening of the mind to potentials for awakening in the many forms. He never, kind of crushed down the idea that exploring whatever wisdom, in whatever form you see it, to utilizing it. And he created all these forms for people who are lay people and busy in the world and engaged in the world, so that the Dharma could be infused in ordinary actions and interactions and relationships and the nitty-gritty of life. And I think that's so needed now. And he right from the beginning, he was talking from a societal and structural level, creating institutions, not just a teacher and the student, which is of course important, but creating institutions that can carry on in different settings and in the future forms. I mean, it's just brilliant.
In all that you've said, I totally agree. He remained very authentic and traditional. Mm-hmm. And it might not be as obvious to the public, but he was a very traditional teacher also. Mm-hmm. He did not change the doctrine. Modern people, they're not going to like this traditional.
No, wasn't that at all. No.
Not at all.
And I find that it's so surprising that he's known for being so wild and crazy, but he's one of the most conservative in how his students, what he introduced to his students systematically, step by step. You just got to do the basic. You got to do your basic training. You got to do your basic study. You got to actually think about this, and you don't just throw things together. You have to create the forms and do them properly. Yeah. At the same time, there was never that sense of attachment and uptightness about any of that.
For a Tibetan Lama to be focused as much as he was on the foundational teachings, unusual. I think that is very unusual and incredibly important. He knew he had to build a real strong foundation and not worry about some golden roof to put on at the end. Mm-hmm. Although he was very charismatic and he taught to lots of people, he never gave Vajrayana empowerments to anyone other than students who had either completed or almost had completed the preliminary practices, having done lots of practice and study before then. Just as Judy was saying, it's a range of preparation, and those are the only students he taught Vajrayana to. He used Vajrayana view always. I mean,
he was Vajrayana view.
He really was. No matter what he was teaching, there was a three-yana kind of view throughout.
He tried to remove the fascination, exoticism, and get right down to working with your actual experience, your actual perception, your actual mind. And when you read it, you're actually reading something you can know what it's saying, you know, not just relying on the magical quality of something.
He was fluent enough in English and in our culture that I don't think he was in any way kind of translating his world and his Tibetan whatever into English, even though, yes, he was fundamentally doing that, but he spoke in English. He encountered us and talked directly to us without any filter of, I think this, how do I say that in English? I don't think there was ever that kind of hesitation. It just seemed completely fluid and direct.
Yeah, because it was in there. He could express it in any sort of ways because that's all he could do.
Yeah.
I don't think he had any choice. It was just like what he could express.
That's right. Come to the Profound Treasury retreat. Get yourself ready to come to the Three Yanas retreat.
Come to the Profound Treasury retreat, come to the Three Yana retreat, and then do it again. Yeah. We've had people who've come every year for 10, 15 years. Yeah. And then circulate, appreciate the differences and how they enforce and inform each other, and appreciate the differences of styles and varieties of teaching that ways to convey some flavor. I mean, it's not just the content, it's the flavor of the world that he could create that is so important that we're trying to convey some of that. Wow. Come to these programs, they're great. A bunch of strange people all hanging out together.
Yep, it's a lot of fun. Yeah.